Hey y'all, happy Tuesday. So on Twitter, I asked duelists to sell me on their favorite Yu-Gi-Oh decks. And I got a lot of responses, so I'm gonna go through them because this is easier than like making some top 50 or top 100 decks to build list. I can just go through things that people said and like maybe it'll help somebody pick a deck and then I don't have to do as much work. I obviously started with my favorite deck, which is Vanquish Soul. I love this deck to death because it emulates fighting games, as I've oftentimes said. There's two different things to do. So first of all, you've got like the attribute revealing mechanic for their different effects. Like you can reveal one attribute to get one effect or multiple attributes to get a slightly stronger effect. They can also tag in and out, so it's kind of like a tag team fighter sort of game where like, you bounce one of your monsters back for like a stronger one. I've always found the deck to be extremely cool because it's mid-rangey and the art is neat and it's just like, it's a treat. So we've got Praying Kids, a combo deck where every kid goes full combo. Your main game plan is to end on double quick effect Raigekis, single quick effect Harpies Feather Duster, indestructible by card effects, and options for battle immunity. They fuse and link on the opponent's turn, which is unique. They have built-in burn, healing, and recycling effects for grind games, and they offer a lot of player customization. I prefer a Thunder Dragon engine and hand traps, but most prefer adventure. You can also do something totally individual, like with traps or something. Yeah, gotta say, I'm a big Praying Kids fan. I didn't like the deck at first because I felt like it just comboed forever, and it can do that. But I do like that there is a lot of expression in it. I've faced so many different variants of Praying Kids, especially back in the early days of Master Duel, when it was like just all over the place. It was kind of annoying then, and I see how they managed to get that Meow Meow Link monster banned. But I really do think Prank Kids are cool. I think that the quick effect Raigeki and Feather Duster fits with the prank theme, and like, that art, man. I mean, the art's actually really good, so. All right, next one. The first time I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! After a long absence, I discovered Lightsworn. It's been a true love ever since. I love their aesthetic of being divine, holy warriors, and how varied their character designs are while still feeling linked to the cohesive whole. Yeah, gotta say, Lightsworn's absolutely phenomenal designs. I've always really loved the kind of holy warrior aesthetic. I actually remember Lightsworn from like the kind of 2009, 2010 days when it was just like some people kind of hated facing it because they thought it was Millie and Saki, but I liked that it was kind of like a high roller deck. It almost felt like a precursor to Tier Limits. And now they have new support that works really well with Tier Limits and other graveyard kind of pile related strategies. But I think that the milling concept is neat because like you can mill yourself out with Lightsworns, and that has happened a lot in the past. Not so much today. Like I feel like today you'll usually win the duel before that happens. But I do still think that any deck where like you're kind of running high risk, high reward feels fun. Okay, next one's Charmers. I love the lore behind them and their playstyle of using your opponent's cards against them is kind of fun. With Fairy Tail Luna and Summoner Monk, you can easily go into any of their links or any rank 4 you want, and the deck is playable without hand traps. Yeah, I gotta say the Charmer monsters are really cool. This build that this person mentioned here is really neat because it's really only just like one of each of the kind of newer Charmers, and it's more of like a rank 4 sort of thing, link toolbox. But I will actually say that I like the Charmer builds that use their companion monsters and like float with them. I've always felt like that was sort of neat. What is it, like Nefarious Beast of Nefariousness and all of that. And they can use some really obnoxious field spells. I know Secret Village of the Spellcasters comes up a lot. They've got that one other spell that like negates effects. It's pretty fun, so yeah, I think that the Charmer deck is cool. It's kind of one of those starter or structure decks that came out and kind of got forgotten because most people didn't see it as very good, and yet all of their Link monsters actually do see a lot of play in like individual strategies, like the Dark Charmer, Gloomy. Mine is Lyralust, mostly because if played right, it can be a versatile deck with many ways to go through with winning. I personally play it pure or close to pure, but many of my friends can confirm it's hard to swap them down after the first turn. Yeah, Lyralust is always a neat one. I feel like it kind of goes under the radar because its success was always sort of tied to things like Tri-Brigade, like, Tri-Brigade Lyralust or Bird Up is what they called it. But the Lyralust deck is actually strong on its own because all the monsters feel like they just special summon each other so easily, like just from the hand, from the deck. I remember they got Lyralust Bird Call, I think is that spell card that just searches one and then summons one from hand. And they actually have that one Link monster that like can't die and doesn't like take any damage, and then it can get really big and attack multiple times. Yeah, I think Lyralust is actually pretty fun. It's like a neat little like low rank Xyz deck. I feel like it goes under the radar a lot. Orcust will always be my favorite. It's versatile and works with multiple other strategies. It can grind very efficiently. The effects vary and are super unique, and the theme is very different. Yeah, gotta say, Orcust is definitely one of those kind of timeless decks. I know Trell really likes this deck a bunch. I've always felt like their designs where it's like these mechanical knights is cool because they also add in music. So like they all sort of have these instruments. I guess that's why they're called Orcust. Like you got like harp horror and all that stuff. Yeah, I've always liked Orcust. I remember playing in Toss format a lot, and it was always like a treat because Orcust was one of those decks where, it was probably the strongest overall deck, but it still felt very beatable. They used Link monsters and Xyz monsters, so I always thought that was kind of a good like mix. I don't like decks that are just, or I don't dislike decks that are mono summoning type, but like it's more cool when they can do two, is basically my explanation. Okay, this person says, my all-time favorite right now is White Forest. It's a fun combo deck that can do so much while having a damn near infinite grind game and also having gorgeous art. You can splash in a variety of other engines, and it's a beautiful way to show off skill expression. And man, show off the art, like look at, oh man. This person says, Kashtira. The cards themselves are cool. The rank 7 pool, while pretty small, has some really fun cards like Big Eye, and the floor of the deck is so high it's a very straightforward deck for people to learn. The trade-off is that the ceiling is also low, but it's sick. And they include this awesome picture of Kashtira Fenrir. I gotta say, as much as I sort of like to hate on Kashtira Fenrir sometimes, I do think that the Kashtira deck is a great, like, just entry-level deck for people because it is easy to play. You can just sort of summon big monsters. You can play Kashtira Birth Control, which it's always so weird to say, Birth Control. But yeah, Birth Control with like Unicorn and Fenrir, and you can kind of just cycle those and bully a lot of decks because the removal that Kashtira do is just brutal, it's face down removal. And yeah, the rank 7 toolbox actually is like, it's not huge, but there are some really cool ones. Draco Sack is fun when it shows up. Usually that kind of pops off more in like combo decks. Big Eye is great for stealing cards, but it is a rare effect that Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't often give you. And there's always like a Dark-Armed Dragon of Annihilation and stuff like that. So what would happen if an AI lit a bunch of animals on fire? Yeah, this is Salamangreat. I have to say Salamangreat it's another really good one. It was oftentimes seen as sort of an entry-level beginner deck because they got a structure and it's pretty easy and straightforward to play. They mostly link summon. My only real gripe I have about Salamangreat now is really just that like they kind of OTK more these days. Like it's kind of turned into more of an OTK deck than a like grindy control deck like what I used to like when I played it. I still don't think it's like bad. I'm not hating on you if you use it, but I do I like when decks can kind of I'm biased towards mid-range, that's all. Ritual Beast is an amazing deck, though it might be overwhelming, but the payoff is amazing. 1, it's a waifu deck, who doesn't like those. 2, it doesn't lock you out of any extra deck monsters, and 3, it has an amazing inboard, including a non-targeting AoE destruction and strong floodgates. Yeah, I gotta say, Ritual Beasts, I've been getting exposed a lot to this deck on Master Duel, because I did add it a few months back, and Ritual Beasts are funny. They are one of those decks where they've managed to give it some really strong new support, and they didn't lose the deck's identity at all along the way, and that's something that I really, really like about it. Because a lot of decks, like they'll come out in like, 2014 or 15 or something like Ritual Beast, and then when they get their support like 10 years later, it has to completely revamp what the deck does. But no, like Ritual Beasts are still using Ulti Canahawk, they still can search Ritual Beast Steeds, they still usually start with something like Elder or Rampengu. And so, yeah. Also, yes, their art is very beautiful. I gotta say, the new Ritual Beast, Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara, her name includes all the different like archetype specific names, is also really beautiful. Mayakashi. The art and yokai theme is cool, and I like how the synchros are the evolved effect monsters. The combo's easy enough, and the rivalry with Shiranui is great too. So yeah, actually, I really feel like not that many people talk about Mayakashi, but it is a fun deck. It's just sort of a ladder synchro deck. I remember Larry played this a little bit. You just ladder through these increasingly high-level synchro monsters, and they do have a lore connection sort of rivalry with the Shiranui monsters. In fact, I don't know if they included here. They don't, but there is that one card, there's like a trap card. This is Ghost Meets Girl, a Shiranui story, but there's also a trap that's like Ghost Meets Girl, a Shiranui Mayakashi Significant Saga, or something like this long trap card. I think it's got the most text in the entire game, like for a card name at least. Okay. This person says, Luna Lights. The diversity of the pick your pieces inboard is refreshing, and having so many ways to combo and mix with anything is amazing, and it can be played as a fusion, Xyz, or link combo depending on how you build it. Hopefully some new support coming soon. Yeah, Luna Light Tiger recently came off the ban list, I think in both games, so I remember always hating facing like Luna Light Orcus because that deck just felt like it had so much steam for the time. And like Luna Light Tiger, a few of the Luna Light monsters, I don't know, is it this one? Yeah, it's this one, where like they don't have hard ones per turns in their effects. Like Luna Light Tiger's little like pendulum effect, it can just be used over and over. So like they'll use it and then it'll get destroyed or removed somehow and they'll use it again. Yeah, Luna Lights are cool, and they do actually have fusion monsters. They were on that earlier monster, like the earlier theme that was about like fusion monsters that are just battle phase kind of focused. They can't be destroyed, they deal extra damage, attack multiple times, that sort of thing. Prediction Princess, because they're fun and give you access to a lot of crazy flip monsters. Yeah, Prediction Princess really went under the radar, I feel like. Like, I know that it wasn't the best or strongest deck on the block, but actually the fact that you can use flip effect monsters is a big deal. Like, I know that they've got like Prediction Princess Tarot Tray is a link monster, and I think or not the link monster. It's the main boss monster, and then I think they got like a stronger version of it in Prediction Princess Tarot Tray. So yeah, I know that when I've seen Prediction Princess played, it's typically with some fun, like more gimmicky flip monsters. That new Man-Eater bug card, like Big Man-Eating Bug or something like that. There's also Pot of the Forbidden, which has like a bunch of banned cards effects, but like because it's a level 9 flip effect monster, you're not usually going to use it, but Prediction Princess can actually use it. So that's kind of fun. Also, I skipped mentioning dinosaurs. This person says, always been a dino player for years now, always loved how this deck can play second or first, and I just love summoning this big guy. Hopefully Mist gets semi-limited, at least in the upcoming ban list. Dino best deck. Yeah, I used to actually hate facing dinosaurs, just like when it was kind of new, like I say new, like in 2017-ish, when they got their structure deck, because I was always like so surprised at how strong they made Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, like 3,500, and it can just like pierce through like your monsters and everything. But dinosaurs are really fun because they get a lot of like latent support that doesn't get talked about a bunch. Like their structure deck was good, but then when they got things like Animador and Archosaur, it got even better. Whenever what was the theme, Transcendosaurus that came out like last year, or year before last now. Yeah, that was a really cool one. Like dinosaurs just get a lot of the good support, kind of like low key, and it makes it for a fun like type-based pile strategy almost. I think that's cool. And there's also Lost World, so that's fun. Okay, someone had to mention Dragon Maids, of course. In addition to the cute art style, I love bringing out bigger monsters for battle and the option of keeping them out or swapping them back. So something I always liked about Dragon Maids was the fact that they sort of reminded me of like a New School Gladiator Beast, because like they swap in the battle phase, but like the mechanics a little bit different. And yeah, you know, people obviously, they love the art. I think they recently revealed the, what is it, Chamber Dragon Maid's like big dragon form or something, or like a fusion form for her. I don't know, I don't play Dragon Maid myself, I just played against it a lot, so that's kind of how I know. Okay, this person said, wow, this is a fitting username. Some of the best art in the game, this is Gimmick Puppets by the way, some of the best art in the game and the ability to completely ignore the opponent's interaction, going first and going second potential, large space for non-engine while remaining extremely consistent. 2 different alternate win conditions, new support coming in Maze of the Masters, goated for real. Yeah, this is Gimmick Puppets. This deck always kind of creeped me out a little bit. This deck also pisses me off on Master Duel. They can FTK you really easily when they go first, and they do have a lot of hand trap resilience. I know they got the one monster that like prevents their monsters from being targeted for the rest of the turn, and the field spell prevents their monsters from being affected by monster effects, their opponent's activated monster effects, while it's in the field. So basically, they can push through like hand traps and resist things like Effect Veiler, Ghost Ogre, Ash Blossom quite easily, even Imperm. So that can be a little bit annoying. But I do think that the Gimmick Puppet theme is like totally fine. It's sort of just like a rank 8, I wouldn't say rank 8 spam deck. I mean, they're usually making their own Gimmick Puppet monsters. I don't know that much about this deck, I just know that I don't like facing it. But that doesn't mean that you can't build it. Okay, this person says White Forest again. This person's talking about Fire Kings. They mentioned Legendary Fire King Ponix. Yeah, Fire Kings, that's another great one. I would recommend people build this because it's cheap. You can get that structure deck at Walmart for like $8 most of the time. It's like discounted all the time. And you just buy 3 and like you're good. I mean, I guess you have to still get Volcanics, that's the new one, but she's not even, like if that's the only expensive thing you really have to buy, it's not too bad. So yeah, Fire Kings is good. Let's see who else included some pictures. I know this deck is about to be top tier with Primite, but not a lot of people are talking about this deck pure. Yeah, this person's talking about Blue Eyes White Dragon, which is getting a structure deck here in a couple weeks. So it's probably gonna be like the big deck on the block. A lot of people will be playing it because it's Blue Eyes and it's actually good for a change. So yeah, build Blue Eyes. I guess you don't need to do Konami's job of advertising it for you, but here's another cool one. My boy Galaxy Eyes. You like dragons, you like Xyz, just play it. And the deck has the most broken hand traps ever created. It's not once per turn, and you can search it with Dragluxion or Tachyon Primal, which releases in the TCG in March. But you have to control the Tachyon Dragon. Wait, so there's a hand trap? Is this the hand trap? I guess this deck has a hand trap. The only thing I know about the Galaxy Eyes is I played it or built it years ago for a little bit. Kind of got bored of the deck because I found it to be sort of vanilla white bread feeling. It feels like it's a little more unique nowadays though with some of the new support they've gotten. But I always remember having this really cool counter trap, Tachyon Transmigration. If you control a galaxy-sized monster, you can negate all of your opponent's spells, traps, and monster effects that were activated before this card in the chain. And then it shuffles all those negated cards back in the deck. This is an extremely, obscenely strong counter trap. And it's, I believe, searchable now. I don't know if that's true. I think I heard that somewhere, though. Okay, let's see. Any other cool pictures? Big Pendulum Magician fan. Even though the deck isn't all that good, I still like how you can monster spam and mess around with some interesting combos. Big fan of combo decks like this. Yeah, Pendulum Magician, I feel like it kind of like just fizzled off the face of the earth a little bit. People don't talk about it a whole bunch anymore, but it is actually totally like a viable deck. It's just that the Konami has nerfed pendulums so hard, it feels like. I feel like nowadays the way that this deck sees any play, at least when I see it get played, is usually through the what is it, like the Supreme King Gate monsters, like the dragons and stuff that you can search. Those, typically people will like tech copies of Harmonizing Magician or Double Iris in there and use those synergies. All right, anything else that's got picks? Gishki is a favorite ritual deck of mine that's still playable in Master Duel thanks to Sprite Elf. That's always kind of weird when a deck is like playable in Master Duel but not playable in TCG thanks to like weird banlist stuff, but yeah, going first, you've got monster negates that bounce back to deck, which is really cool. Their ritual monster does bounce negated things back to the deck, and it's always a really good form of removal. And going second, you can kaiju a monster to ritual summon, and you can non-target bounce another card back to deck with Zale Gigas. Gotta say, not Ritual Beast, Gishki's. This guy's cool. Also, this one's cool. This is, I don't remember which Necros monster or whatever is riding this monster, but I always like that there's some lore synergies there because, okay, my favorite is Magic-Key because it's a Kingdom Hearts reference filled deck and it can stop a lot of combos in their tracks. I did not know that Magic-Keys were a Kingdom Hearts based thing. That's cool. A funny story actually about Magic-Key. So we played a Rivalry of the Warlords tournament at Locals a few weeks ago, and every round we would get like a different random pre-built deck. And so one of the decks that I played with was a Magic-Key sort of Primite hybrid deck. And this is my first time playing Magic-Key, so I was like learning about what all it does. I actually really like this deck. I think it's fun. The boss monsters look really cool. I didn't know it was a Kingdom Hearts thing, but now I do. Okay. Zodiac, for me, is very fun. I'm past the point of wanting to compete. I don't want to combo for 15 minutes or have to plan routes. I want to normal summon a zoo, slap on a bunch of Xyz, attack with Borbo, and make a giant Zeus. So far, I've managed 11 materials. Yeah, I gotta say, Zodiac is fun because it's kind of one of these decks that has not lost too much of its identity over the years. It's obviously not the strongest deck on the block anymore, but I do like that you can just sort of normal summon a monster and just stack Xyz materials. And despite what power creep might tell you, I do still think that cards like Zodiac Trident will never like be bad cards. The fact that this deck can make multiple copies of Trident and just have access to a lot of pops all the time, yeah, that's pretty good, honestly. I know that one cool part about Zodiac is you can combine it with Tri-Brigade, you can combine it with Melfi. People combine it with a lot of decks, really. So, yeah, I say build it. It's based on the 12 animals of the Zodiac, so that's a cool lore bit there. Okay, this person mentions Ancient Warriors. Oh, low quality picture here, but nice artwork, reference to the classic Chinese legend, but also a lot of interactions. That's actually my favorite thing about Ancient Warriors as well. I've played this deck a little bit and it does feel like you're playing, I think that the inspiration was also like playing Dynasty Warriors, where it's just all a bunch of like, you know, mashy combos, because basically all the monsters have this thing where it's like when another Ancient Warriors monster's effect activates, then it does this, and another one does this. And so they just kind of like have this cascade of effects that I've always thought was like a cool way to design a deck. Like it's modern Yu-Gi-Oh, but in a slightly different way, because it's not just like, you know, you're making Chain Link 8. It's more like you're making a chain, then a new chain, then a new chain, then a new chain, but each chain only has like maybe one monster effect on it. And their art looks really, really cool, by the way. This slightly lower quality picture does not do it justice. But so this person says, mine is FA. Formula Athletes, I think is what FA stands for. Why? Because it's not often that we have an effect that activates when the card is level 13 or higher. That's true. This is FA Motorhome Transport, and it gains attack equal to its level times 300. Each time an FA spell or trap is activated, you can increase the level of the card by 1. And it gains the following effects based on its current level. So once it's level 11 or higher, it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, but once it's level 13 or higher, which Yu-Gi-Oh cards can become level 13 or higher, 12 is not the limit, it's just like how many stars can like fit on a card. Yeah, you can target an FA monster in your graveyard and special summon it once per turn. So yeah, you can slowly increase this card's level. I remember FA's main claim to fame was Dawn Dragster, their level 7 synchro that can negate spells and traps. The actual deck is not all too bad either. I think Alec built it and had some fun with it. So yeah, that'd be pretty fun if anybody wants to try it out. Oh man, okay, this person's got the classic. It's an old deck, but it used to be my favorite. It's just sort of a, I guess like a Marauding Captain Warrior deck. They actually play it on Spirit Caller on the DS. It's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Video game with some Dawn Zalug and hand disruption stuff, and it's really consistent and fun. Yeah, Command Knight as well, the A forces. Man, that takes me back. Like childhood Yu-Gi-Oh! Was just playing just like double Command Knight with A forces and stuff like that, or double Marauding Captain. Your opponent just couldn't attack you. Funny story, if you play the Joey deck in the most recent Speed Duel set, his deck actually has both of those cards in it, and it can be like really annoying doing the Command Knight Marauding Captain loop. We did a video on that, and Alec, I think, pulled it off in the video, so you can go and watch that and see how annoying it actually can be. Another person mentioning Photon Galaxy, of course. Now here's somebody talking about Tenyu Sword Soul. So you get amazing card art and very beginner-friendly combos, which helps me get into Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole. It's a very powerful deck in its own right. It can search cards easily. It gets power from cards like Baronne de Fleur. And also, I will add that this deck is getting new support in this upcoming Supreme Darkness set here in another week or so. So yeah, that's another great reason to play it if you didn't have one. I do like that this deck is very beginner friendly. That's always been kind of the appeal to it for me. This is a fun one. I'm squeezing all the potential I can from 10 dangles. The playstyle is to defend, only to defend, and not disrupt, with flip effects, spam flip monsters face down, and next turn flip them all up, and OTK with acute Cerberus. It needs disruptions and negations, and should all help me with their trap that flips everything face up. Man, it's been so long since I've read a 10 dangle card. Gains 3,000 attack if you have 3 or more 10 dangles with different names in your graveyard. Interesting. And it gains more attack for each 10 dangle monster it points to. So I guess you're kind of trying to like OTK with this. Maybe it gains some more attack points. And it is a really cheap deck. I feel like you can probably build this deck for like less than $5 if you wanted to. Goblin Biker. Okay, so Goblin Biker, not only is the art and the names amazing, yes, the names are pretty funny. It's the ultimate Xyz deck. It turns any opponent using Xyz cards and says, your materials, our materials. Beyond that, there's no better feeling than taking cards off your opponent's field and attaching them to Big Bonga, which I have to say, this might be like top 5 most satisfying Yu-Gi-Oh! Card names to say. Goblin Biker, Big Bonga. And Goblin Biker's Gone Wild. Okay, so that's what that art was. Okay, interesting, yeah. Goblin Biker's Gone Wild, Goblin Biker Mean Merciless, and Goblin Biker Doug Charger. Yeah, Big Bonga. I kind of want to build Goblin Bikers now after reading this post. I don't know, it's just, I like saying that. And the OCG, I think their names are like Badass Goblin Bikers or whatever, so they obviously weren't going to use that. But things like Big Bonga, that's fun too. Generators, a fun control deck with good damage output. It's themed on JRPG bosses, based. Varied disruption like hand ripping, summon negation, and stat modulation. Levitin's second effect deals with problem cards. I do love Levitin's second effect, and it's versatile. It's usually played pure, but Ragnarika and Hop Ear Squadron can change how you play, and they included Generator boss stage. Gotta give a huge vouch for Generators. Deck is hella fun. I love it. I play it on Master Duel. I like actually trying to play it pure just to see what it can do. But yeah, there are a lot of fun little variants and things that you can do with it. I think my favorite part about Generators really is that you just get to feel like you're summoning out boss monsters and your opponent's kind of just being forced to deal with those like it's an actual game. And they've been getting some pretty good new like support cards. There's that new dinosaur that's level 9 and it kind of works similarly to Vala. So yeah, I need to actually get copies of that. I think I have enough copies to add it and update my Generator deck in real life. I have it on Master Duel, and I've got like a physical copy, but I haven't updated my physical. Did you blink? Destroy. Sneeze? Destroy. End your turn? Oh, okay. Destroy. This is my first really interactive deck far before the latest support came out. I've always just loved the art, the resource management, and how it turned an inherently negative mechanic into a plus. They're talking about Unchained, of course. Unchained, have to say, this is a deck that I wanted to build when it first came out, and I never built it. I don't know why. I guess I just kind of forgot or maybe lost interest, but I've always liked them. I think that decks that just like have floaty effects I tend to be sort of drawn to those for the most part. And yeah, their new support is really good. What is that one Unchained, like the level 6, Vishara, I don't know. Yeah, the Unchained cards are fun. I have a pretty fun time whenever I play against them. They get used a lot in Yubel, but playing against a pure Unchained deck can also be a lot of fun as well. So Yeah. I also like that this deck's gotten pretty cheap now. I remember when it was like really expensive because like Abominable Unchained Prison or whatever the spell is, it was like a secret and there's one other secret and they were kind of expensive, but yeah, they're inexpensive now. So this is one that I would highly recommend. Big Cat Go Bird, this person's talking about Pearly. Oh God, such an annoying deck to face if you're not there and at the table from it. But it is fun, Pearly's a good time. Yeah, so for me it's gotta be Punk. It's simple to learn the ropes, but there's so much you can do by mixing it with other archetypes due to the Synchro and rank 8/3 pools, the engine that gives you access to. And the cards just look absolutely sick. They do. This is sort of based off of, I think, like a Japanese like sort of music folklore thing. That's where the designs come from. And man, they're so neon-y and like, just very, very visually eye-catching. Valmonica. The deck has such an interesting gameplay loop and it's made genuinely good use of counters. The counters start off as a way to cut off your super generic bosses, but once they hit the field, they use those counters to use their effects. Their super generic boss monsters even help them play around things like Nibiru, since you can end your board on IP and sometimes rank 4. Your opponent Nibiru's you and all you have to do is make Link Spider and end on their Link 1 Light Fiend. Zebufera, Valmonican Hollow Heathen. That is a card effect. And then I mentioned they've got a Light Fiend that's searchable off the track and gives you access to the full Fiendsmith engine. Yeah, that is true. Any deck that can natively use the Fiendsmith engine is a deck that you might want to have a look at, I would say. Okay, let's see. Valkyries. Wow, this is one I did not expect to see. This is a tough one, but I have to say Valkyries. I love the deck the moment I saw it in the anime. I love that it's meant to end the game quickly, and I got a soft spot for the artwork. Fun fact, levels 1 through 6 are opposite of their names. Oh, so Sesht is level 1. Oh, I did not know that. So Valkyrie Drite is 2, or is, wait, because wait, oh God, I'm forgetting how to like, I know what this person's saying. Basically, like levels 1 through 6 are the opposite of their names. And so like Sesht would be 6, but it's level 1. So like the 5 I think would be 2, and yeah. Anyways, cool. The thing about Valkyries that I think is also fun is that they get to actually conduct their battle phase twice. Like they repeat the battle phase, or they don't repeat the battle phase, like they skip to the next one. It's very weird. I played this deck for like a theme duel or something once. My favorite is Marincess. It's an easy to play style to learn. It's somewhat competitive if given enough support. It's got cute waifu cards. They've actually got a picture of the cards on the mat. So yeah. I actually think that Marincess, I remember Alex built this deck and he enjoyed it. It kind of felt like the water version of Salamangreat. I guess that's technically what it was. It was like Blue Maiden and Soul Burner, which I don't know that they were actually supposed to be like spiritual opposites or something, but I always just describe them as like the water Salamangreats. Really good link deck. I know that they link into monsters and then they use their field spell to like equip their big link monsters with other link monsters from the graveyard, and that usually gives it some sort of protection or ammunition for different effects. Goatee by far, or Fish, if you know, you know. It's both runic, it can be played both runic and as a pure fish version. It's slow, unrelenting, inexorability, $5 word. Makes it feel like you're fighting against a force of nature. Its interaction with the banish is very cool as it's treated like this distant, deep space. It's cosmic horror and I love it. Oh man, yeah, I really wanted to build this deck myself actually. It's cool because this is like a unique one, and that's saying something because like in Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot of decks can sometimes feel like they just are doing the same thing that another deck does. But yeah, you get like quick effect synchros, the fish banish themselves and they come back in the next standby phase. And this guy, which Goatee of the Deep Beyond or Fish of the Deep Beyond, is I think it's like a field nuke when it comes out, I believe, if I'm remembering how the deck works. I remember I also got some of the cards myself and I was like in the process of building it and just never physically put the cards like in sleeves, but might just give it a try in Master Duel or something. Another person for Dragon Maids, Libromancers for sure. They're an amazing comic book reference. Oh man, this is so cool. Yeah, an amazing comic book reference superhero team that makes rituals easy to play. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any support outside of its own deck, but I still love it and hope for its return. Yeah, I remember I was putting together the lore of this deck, and basically, yeah, just this group of kids who like reading different genres of books, and then they become the characters in those books. Some more, don't see this deck very often. Cool birds, they normal summon abnormally like Fluandereeze does, but without being annoying. That's true. And also they are cool looking. Dripped out birds. They are kind of dripped out. Like they got little jewelry, little necklaces going on. Oh, this reminds me, I actually love using Dark Samora way back in like 2010 or whatever when it came out. Because it was like your opponent can't set cards or something like that, and you would combine it with like anti-spell fragrance so they just couldn't like use spell and trap cards at all. I also remember I used some more Bird of, whichever is the level 4 that you like send to some more card from deck to grave, like you get to normal summon it, something like that. I remember playing that one a lot in particular. Malice. Without considering the deck's price, it's the most fun, interactive, and broken deck I've played so far. You can combine it with engines like Sky Striker and Bestial as well. Yeah, Malice is, you know, it's new, it's good. I think most people maybe don't like the price of it. This person's right, but I mean, it is a lot of fun. I haven't gotten to like try it out and play it myself, so that's something I would like to do. So I'm here to spread at Ignister propaganda. I think they're silly, and the combos are beginner friendly to me, I guess. I was able to teach my wife easily. Plus, extra emotional impact if you finished watching Brains. You know what's actually funny about that? So I did not watch a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Brains, but I watched the last 2 duels, which, if I'm remembering correctly, was like Soulburner versus Revolver, and then like I versus Yusaku or Playmaker. So I actually do have a little bit of a soft spot for these cards. I'm not normally a Cyberse lover because I don't like how they just special summon so much. But that is only like for the person on the other end of the table. Like obviously, I mean, if you're playing this deck, you enjoy it. And the Arrival Cyberse at Ignister is actually really strong. This thing can get absolutely huge, and it's really tough to deal with. So another mention of Fire Kings. The deck's super fun to play. It's successful with the structure deck and focuses more on disruptions and reaction than negates. Plus the art is top tier. Very true. Man, I gotta say, Garunix Eternity's art just really something else. This card looks absolutely amazing. This person mentions Medolje. It's a quick, efficient, relatively simple going second deck. It's got a lot of skill that you can apply to it. And with the recent support, it can also be a good turn 1 inboard as well. If you like dessert and cutesy anime characters that can hit like trucks, try it. Yeah, I have a Medolje deck built. Love this deck. I remember this deck like way back in the day, like 2012 or so, when its cool claim to fame was basically that Tiramisu was a form of removal that did not target and like shuffled the cards back into the deck, which was brutal at the time. It made it very difficult to deal with. And nowadays, they're just, like this person said, the deck can go second, it can go first. It's really fun. Ancient Gears, they can make a strong first turn board that can OTK with Fortress, Duel, Tanker, Dark, and Advance. It's never been hit on the ban list directly, probably never will, and can play against meta decks if the player is good enough. And it's relatively cheap. This is true, actually. The Ancient Gear deck, I remember when it popped up in Master Duel, it was like a really popular little go second OTK thing. Up until like 10 Pi release, it kind of did it a little bit better, but I still think Ancient Gears got more flavor to it, and that's what's important. Okay, so just a few more to go. Gotta 100% be Gate Guardian Kashtira. The Gate Guardian fusion monsters work well under Banishment Floodgates, so Arise Heart's no biggie, or the other 2 Floodgates that do the same, on top of Negates, Banishes, and big monsters. Yeah, Gate Guardians combined. Alex actually built the Gate Guardian deck. He has very much played it. I remember we were playing it once in a hotel room, and it was like he was playing against like Alex Shining Sarcophagus Yugi deck, and I was just like, man, that's actually a theme duel. Like I wish I could have recorded it. It was fun. Yeah, the Kashtira monsters are level 7, and so are the Gate Guardian pieces, so they actually work really well. There's a little bit of synergy there, and they just add a little bit of much needed like bulk and strength that this deck sometimes kind of is missing. But I have to say, I gotta give them Konami credit. They made the Gate Guardian support surprisingly like workable, and that was in Maze of Millennia or Maze of Memories, and then I think Maze of Millennia was last year where they did the Flame Swordsman stuff, and in this Maze that's gonna have the Odeon card. So they've been like sneaking these little anime archetypes into these Maze sets. Makonko, the deck is so fun. It isn't the greatest right now because of all the non-targeting banishes of Detonator and the upcoming Asamina fusion, but it's still super scary considering almost nobody knows what the cards do. I can go crazy about it. This is true. Ohime, the Manifesting Makonko, is their picture. Makonko is a very, you love it or you hate it deck. They like to go second. They use things like a Lava Golem. They use equip spells, and basically their monsters can't be destroyed. They don't take damage from them, and they actually inflict the damage that they would take to the opponent instead. So oftentimes the goal is to like bounce the opponent's cards off the field or just get rid of them somehow with Lava Golems and Kaijus, and then just equip your Makonko cards with equip spells, and it's like, yeah, they attack, and your opponent takes damage, sometimes double damage. It can be really annoying, but I think that for the Makonko player, it's a lot of fun because it allows you a way to deal with big boards, and it's kind of like tough to interact with sometimes. So the design of memento cards, disassembling or destroying your small monsters to combine them and bring out the conglomerate of gluing the monsters together. That's actually one of my favorite parts about memento. They are all based on like old Yu-Gi-Oh monsters, like these old vanilla cards that have just been turned into effect monsters. But more importantly than that, Memento Tekutila combined creation is quite literally just the monsters kind of stapled and stitched together. So that's always a fun aesthetic to look at. Versus is my favorite, good taste, but also Endymion follows it up closely. I know the joke is the card is a wall of text, but it's really not all that confusing. That's true. And it tends to be consistently solid. You use the spell counters almost like MP or mana to pop everything on the board. I do like that kind of like lore flavor, little aesthetic going on. Your spell counters are basically your mana, and you are kind of consuming and just controlling your mana as like just a sort of a resource. That's always fun. And when this guy comes out actually with his effect or whatever, he can like blow up stuff and it doesn't target, and like it's just absolutely rude. Someone mentioned Starry Nights, based around using fairies and their spells and traps to bounce and resummon level 7 light dragons. The cards have really cool ways to dodge effects, recursive pops, and removal with the dragon, and a cool advantage engine with orbital and the field spell. Absolutely gorgeous as well. This is true. Yeah, I think that this is a deck that's kind of based on like Hyozan Ryu and Serpent Knight Dragon as their big dragons. Okay, and that's gonna do it for now. I tried to get through as many different decks as I possibly could before my voice goes out, but hopefully this gave you guys some fun and exciting ideas for maybe decks that you might want to build. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. I can certainly do more once my voice recovers, but yeah, this is cool. I'm gonna link the Twitter thread down below so you can check out everything. It might be another great inspiration or tool or resource. Oh, and yesterday I made a video with 25 reasons why you should play Yu-Gi-Oh! So I thought this would be a really good like follow-up video of like, here are some of the decks that you can build. So yeah, trying to upload more vids. I got another one planned for tomorrow, so I'll see you guys then. Fast turn.